Welcome to the program, United States Senator from Missouri, Roy Blunt. Senator Blunt, how are you?
I'm good, Mark. It's good to be talking to you, and look forward to seeing you in the studio before too long, but thanks for taking time today.
Man, wait till you see our new digs here. You're going to really be impressed.
It's hard for me to imagine KMOX without that arch in the background.
I know.
But I'm ready to see
You're gonna like
whatever you guys have done.
Hey, I want to talk to you a little bit about the election and just what might be coming up here, even in the lame duck session. But what's your reaction? I know you have to have some opinion about everything that's going on right now with General Petraeus.
Well, yeah, I don't know General Petraeus real well. I have been with him on a number of occasions as a member of the Intelligence Committee. Before that, I was with him on a number of occasions as a member of the House leadership. He clearly has been on any list you can come up with, one of our best military leaders since World War II. And I thought was well on the way toward being one of the best CIA directors, and I think it's a loss for the country. And we're going to have Intelligence Committee hearings this week, and I'll probably know a lot more about this in a few days than I do now. But it does seem to me that the idea that he'd leave because he was we were concerns about being compromised and maybe blackmail, and then willing in his resignation to just apologize to everybody that knows him for his conduct. It doesn't sound like, to me, a guy who could have been subject to very much intimidation or blackmail, either one. But I think it's a loss for the country. I'll be interested to see what happened to the report that he put together after he personally went to Libya and did an on-site evaluation of what had happened at Benghazi, and that has not been made available to the Senate Intelligence Committee yet. And our chairman, Dianne Feinstein, a Democrat from California, and I, and a lot of other people are asking, why is it that we're not seeing this report? That under the whole concept of the Intelligence Committee, members of the House and Senate who've been selected to know this information don't have access to it.
Have you gotten any answers to those questions yet as far as why, that hasn't happened?
No, I haven't gotten any answers yet. And in fact, just yesterday, Chairman Feinstein was raising real objections to the fact that that report had not been made available. Remember, he went in person and did an on-site evaluation of what had happened there, and I'm sure that's one of the things he would have been testifying about to the House this week. I think at some point it's likely that House and Senate members, at least at the Intelligence Committee level, are going to want to hear from General Petraeus directly about those security issues, not necessarily about his thought process in deciding to leave. But if he wants to share that with us, that would be okay. But I think we have a real legitimate obligation to ask, what did you see? What were you going to report? Why do you think that report was not a report that you were able to make?
Senator, are you bothered that, because Senator Feinstein raised this question too, are you bothered by the fact that the Intelligence Committee was not notified that the FBI was investigating General Petraeus here? Or not investigating General Petraeus, but investigating something surrounding General Petraeus?
I am. I think there are a lot of questions to be asked here, and maybe they'll all have good answers. But what was the FBI doing investigating the CIA? Under what authority? Who knew about it? And at that point, whoever knew about it, why didn't they at least tell the two leaders of the House and Senate Intelligence Committees, the Democrat and Republican leaders on each side? Those are the four people that, even if no one else is told, are almost always told everything as soon as the administration knows it in any reasonable way. And I think at least those four people should have been told, and I'll be interested to find out why they weren't.
1 week ago, it's hard to believe, this has been a very, very fast week. We were voting in this election. We know the results by now. Haven't spoken with you since then. What's your reaction to the way the country went in the presidential race?
Well, I'm surprised. I'm surprised with the economy being what it was, that My side didn't do better on Election Day in the presidential race. In fact, in some of these Senate races. Now, the other surprise is the willingness of the same voters to perhaps send a Republican senator and a Democrat senator and a majority of Republicans to the House of Representatives from their state. Maybe even send a whole lot of Republicans to the House of Representatives and vote for President Obama in the election. But the turnout in the competitive states was higher than it was 2 years ago. I think almost everybody thought it would be lower from the president's point of view. You'd have a lower turnout of groups that were very supportive of the president. Somehow they managed to identify and create a larger turnout in those states. And I don't know anybody except maybe the internal folks in the Obama campaign that weren't surprised by that. And I think they may have been surprised by how well their plan worked of micro-targeting and getting people out. And it's what democracy is all about. It's who votes and who they vote for. It's not who would have voted if they'd have showed up. It's who shows up. And they did a great job in the competitive states. Let me say one other thing, too. For the first time ever, Mark, you and I saw a presidential election where Missouri wasn't a competitive state, Illinois wasn't a competitive state. Only one state that touched our state, Iowa, was competitive, and there's not much joint media between Iowa and Missouri. So we didn't really see what was happening in the Ohios, the Virginias, the Floridas of the world, but they were clearly very different than what was happening if voters were just kind of doing what they thought to do based on the information they had available to them.
Senator Roy Blunt is here with me. One final topic, and this is a big one. What do you think will happen in these next 2 months? What's your insight as far as the fiscal cliff, the tax situation that we're facing? Is this something that the lame duck Congress will push to the end of the first quarter next year? What do you think is going to happen here?
I think it's largely dependent on the president. Any problem this big requires presidential leadership. That's one of the reasons that the executive was created in the Constitution to lead and to execute the laws passed, but also to lead. That's why the president does a State of the Union message. So the president's reporting to Congress what needs to be done, what needs to have attention. That's required by the Constitution. I think the president has to step up here, and we don't want to go off this fiscal cliff. That's why they call it a cliff for a reason. And everybody that looks at this believes there would be severe economic consequences if we both increase taxes to the rate they were at 14 years ago and cut government spending just in an across-the-board way without just identifying programs that don't work and eliminating them. This would be cutting across the board in a way that's going to impact our economy. So hopefully that won't happen. Divided government, you and I have talked about this before, Mark, divided government is a good time to solve big problems. And the real failure of the last 2 years is that nobody was willing, particularly I think at the White House level, to lead toward those solutions. But divided government didn't work the last 2 years. Hopefully we can solve some of these problems that need to be solved over the next 2 years, and you play the hand that's dealt in a democracy, whether you like it or not, and the voters gave us what they gave us. Doesn't mean that my side needs to give up, because voters also gave us an overwhelmingly Republican House of Representatives. So the president's going to have to come up with something that actually both sides can accept as a way forward, or we're not going to go forward.
When it comes to the revenue side of that equation, if there's something on the table that includes a tax increase for those over either $250 or maybe it's pushed to $1 million, is that something that you could support or other Republicans could support?
Oh, I think that you can increase revenue by doing things that grow the economy or simplify the tax code, not increasing rates. And my guess is if the president comes up with a plan that works, that will be part of that plan.
Senator Roy Blunt, always great. Come see us at the studio soon.
I'm looking forward to it. Now I got to come just to see what KMOX looks like in the new surroundings.
You're going to like it, I guarantee it. Thanks, Senator. Take care.